Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brightline Podcast. I'm Morgan Cole with Brightline Property Management, joining you here from our office in the Woodlands, Texas at Studio 110. It's 10 o'clock on March 23rd, 2020, and we're dealing with the coronavirus. It's a scary time. I'm the only person here. We've sent everybody home last week. We got all geared up about 10 days ago or so, and Monday morning everybody started working from home. So don't worry, I'm practicing safe social distancing. I wanted to get out here and start using the studio again. And when it's everybody is home. There are a lot of downtime. There's not quite as much busy work going on for a lot of people. So I thought it'd be a great time to talk to people. And also, I want to share insight and information that I'm able to share regarding real estate market, and also try to help us out here in our local community with a few people that are business owners or community leaders to share relevant information and talk to us how we can still be good citizens but support our community and support our businesses the best we can. So I got a few people lined up today that we're going to talk to. We're going to talk to Thom Bolsch with Saddle River Range. We're going to talk to Chris Elmi, who's a realtor, and we're going to talk to Jessica Taylor, who is a residential mortgage lender. And we're going to learn those are people in my wheelhouse. I mean, Tom, I don't work with him, but I'm a member of his range, and I think that there's just a lot of imaginations running wild right now. And so I want to talk to people who are out there doing business right now and find out what's going on. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to learn, maybe people can post this on Facebook or I'll get something going together, but we need to share resources for people. So whether it's a financial resource or supplies or anything like that, if you have anything or want to talk about it, I'd love to include that. So, and speaking of that, the first thing I do want to share is there is a website that is called locallivingguide.com. It's for people in Montgomery County, and it's run by Matt Kalusic and Russell Kalusic. And what they've put together on their website is a special section here. Let's see here. No, I didn't do that right. They've got a special section here for the pandemic relief for restaurants. So you can view up-to-date information for each restaurant. So, here I'm just looking at this. They've got Pie Town Cafe, has call-in and curbside pickup. Same with Wicked Whisk, Chef Chan's. Chef Chan's, I'm pretty sure, is the longest standing restaurant in the Woodlands, Texas. I got into a Facebook argument about that several years ago, but Luby's was argued to possibly be older than Chef Chan's, but I think it was determined that someone pointed out that Luby's might be carved out of the actual Woodlands Township boundaries. I'd love for someone to chime in and tell me if that's accurate. I think I've been going to Chef Chan's since like 1988. So anyway, this is a great resource, and please practice safe social distancing, but at the same time, if it's safe and we don't have to be hermits and we're not going to spread the disease, go support these people. We don't know what's going to happen to businesses. And I think that we need to if you're going to get out there and go to the grocery store, maybe instead go pick up lunch at a restaurant in a time like this. So anyway, I want you to know that these are restaurants that are open, and then there's another section here called Pandemic Relief for Business. And so what they've got is a few different medical providers and then some other companies that are talking about how they can help. And they really just got this spun up, by the way. So this is something that is not necessarily complete. I mean, it's going to be continuously updated, but I think that we're going to be able to help each other out by focusing on something like this. So anyway, I hope that we're able to utilize that. So, all right. So, hey, listen, I've got I'm coming over here to Thom Bolsch. I just got him on the line, and Tom, we're going to get you keyed in here. Let's see. Hold on. I'm like a one of those guys that operates the whole band that's on his back. That's how I feel right now. Running this whole thing. So there we go. All right, Tom, How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Morgan?
Well, I'm good. It's good to see you. I miss coming up there to Saddle River and hanging out with you.
Well, we are open, so come on up.
I know you are. I've been really doing my best to be a good social distancer and not coming to places like that. But I may hop out there on your range and make sure that I can still shoot straight.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been doing our part too. We've been limiting the amount of people are allowed in the building. We're skipping every lane on the shooting lane so people have some distance. You
Yeah.
know, you know about our air handling system in there anyway. It's 100% fresh air traveling at 50 linear feet per minute. So that's more for the pollutants, but also the people next to you.
Sure. No, I know y'all system's amazing because it brings in entirely fresh air, air conditions it, and then sends it down the range and out the other end. And I just can't even believe that you have equipment that can cool air continuously coming in the heat of the summer and make it pleasant in there. It's impressive.
Yeah, I'll tell you that was one of the best features of it, and most people said that would be impossible to put a system like that in that range. And
Yeah.
we flip that switch in the morning. It's 92 degrees in the summer in those ranges, and in 11 minutes, it's down to 67.
Unbelievable. And I think the best part, Brian Rushing with Rushing Air is the guy who set that up, right?
He did. What a great company.
It's a great name too. I mean, it's like when I was in elementary school, I had a music teacher named Miss Bach. Like, you couldn't have had a better name to be a music teacher. And with the air like rushing through your building, that's how I always think of that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Perfect name for a
yeah.
company.
So what's going on at Saddle River? I mean, you're open, you're practicing good, etiquette and social distancing, but what are your customers doing in this crazy time right now?
Yeah, it really is. And I'll tell you, Morgan, it's probably the best thing for the industry because 80 to 90% of the people that are walking in the store are first time gun buyers. A lot of them never even held a gun.
Wow.
And they're finally realizing what we've been saying for years, if not decades, of, if the police force is so busy they can't protect you, you got to protect yourself. And
Yeah.
you got to have the ability to do that, and it's your right, it's your god-given right to be able to do that. So
Sure.
people are finally realizing that, and they're coming in, and not only are they buying a gun, but we're giving them an education on how that gun works.
Good.
It's difficult because we have 4 or 5 people deep at the counter trying to buy guns,
Wow.
and but we're taking the time. We don't want anyone to leave here that doesn't at least have the basic understanding of how that gun operates. God forbid they ever need to use it.
Yeah, I've heard you guys in the past talk about how there's statistics of people that if they ever even get one lesson coming and see y'all, then like 95% of them don't ever get a follow-up lesson.
Yeah,
And
and that's a shame.
it is. It is. I come up there and shoot regularly, and I take lessons from you guys. And this is not something that I saw somebody post something that they had a law enforcement family member that said that to be proficient with a firearm, you have to practice every day.
I would say that might be a little
A
overkill, but
little
if you
overkill.
do it, do it.
Tom, do you have law enforcement background?
Yeah, yeah. I was in the Secret Service for 25 years, and
Yeah.
you talk to most departments, PDs, or even federal law enforcement, like I was in, and maybe once a quarter they'd go out and qualify with their weapons. But
Sure.
Secret Service was monthly. If you were stationed in Washington D.C., it was monthly with all your weapon systems and especially your handgun, of course, because that's your primary at the point.
I could understand monthly. I mean, I come in there better than every other week, and I take a lesson with Jacob, and I practice drawing from concealment and shooting under stressful situations with time constraints and varied targets and things like that. And I've really only gotten very serious about that since about July of 2019, and um, I've become proficient. I've become good at it.
No, and Jacob reports back that you are very proficient. You're doing it right. You really are because look, we're never going to be in a perfect situation or always prepared for if something went down. I mean, I have. I was telling some people the other day that I have guns all over my house. I have handguns stationed in every room of my house, all in safes, all secured from anyone that's not authorized to have a gun, like my children.
Yeah.
But we don't have the luxury to pick when somebody's going to kick your front door in if they're criminals. So if I'm in the kitchen, I have a pistol readily accessible. Of course, bedroom. If we're upstairs, there's stuff stationed everywhere. It's the same thing with training. You're not going to be able to pick when somebody might want to rob you on the street, God forbid.
Mm-hmm.
So is it? So you're practicing in low or no light situations. You're practicing from behind cover. You're practicing all these things, and that's how you should be doing it. Real life,
Yeah. You,
real life situations.
So what can people do in a time where there's a disaster? I mean, I've known before, it's been more black and white, but they've talked about in a hurricane, like Hurricane Harvey, when it's a disaster, people are concerned about looting, and it's a different kind of ghost town right now. People are keeping their distance, and they're not going to certain places, but they're still going to other places. It's not like there's an environmental block. The roads aren't bridges haven't washed out, trees aren't downed over roads. But in those times, people talk about protecting themselves, and there's something I believe, and I'd love to, if you know, you even if you're not a concealed handgun or what do they call it, license to carry now, I believe that in a disaster, there's something that is extended to citizens, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah. So after the last hurricane, they did enact something that even without a license to carry, you can carry your a sidearm. You they're It's basically called constitutional carry. You're allowed to constitutional carry.
Okay.
Now, I'm not quite sure that Governor Abbott has cleared that yet. I really haven't been following it that closely because we've been jamming here at the store, and we're telling everyone, get your LTC. I mean, because
Yeah.
why wait for what really is one man? He just happens to be the governor to declare that. I mean, if you have your license to carry, you don't have to rely on somebody saying, okay, it's time for that law to be enacted.
Sure.
Just your license to carry,
Yeah.
and you don't have to ever worry about it. But yes, you are correct. During disasters, they can say, okay, everyone's allowed to carry in their car, on their person, in their house. Of course, you're always allowed to. But, because people are fearful and they want to have the ability to protect themselves. So we'll see if that has been enacted. And if it hasn't, I'm sure it will be soon.
Y'all still got guns and ammo for sale? I mean, I've seen stores that saying they're sold out.
It's miraculous that our supply line is keeping us very well stocked. Yeah, I was watching the local news the other day, and they reported that every gun store in the Houston area is out of guns and ammo, so don't even go. And I just posted on Facebook the other day saying, I don't know about other gun stores, but we're fully stocked. Now, we're short on a couple things, certain calibers of ammunition, but our buyer and my general manager here has great relationships with our distributors and manufacturers, and we are constantly ordering stuff.
Yeah.
As soon as something comes open, he's saying, okay, send it. Guns, ammo. Okay, we'll get a pallet of that. We actually drove to Austin on Friday because it was the only place that had 9mm ammunition.
Wow.
We got a shipment of 240 cases. We told them we'll take it all. They said we can't do that. We have to allocate it. And we said, how about if we come and pick it up and we pay you cash? And they said, come and get it. So
Turns out we can sell it all to you.
So it worked out pretty well for us.
That's great. That's great. Well, do you have any final thoughts for anybody? I mean, maybe someone who just bought a gun or already owns a gun. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there anything you could tell someone if they do find themselves being confronted by somebody, or how they should respond and protect themselves or their family?
Yeah, I'll tell you. ABC News got in touch with me. I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and the question they wanted answered was, why are people buying these guns? And you and I, as gun owners and have been through disasters, know why they're buying them. But the real answer is, God forbid if this really gets much worse. And we know the run on toilet paper and the run on food and water and all these other things. But what about the person or the people that didn't go out and prepare themselves? And now the supply lines, the trucks aren't running, the trains aren't running. There's no food in the store. Well, you got two options. You starve to death, or you go and try to take it from someone else if you're a criminal, right?
Yeah.
So if you went and did the right things and prepared, then you need to, unfortunately, defend what you purchased on your own and you prepared for. So that's where the guns come in, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and they talk about not using deadly force to protect property, and I believe that, and it's difficult to claim that anything is priceless and therefore should be defended with deadly force. But if someone's threatening your life or your family's life to take property from you, I think that's a different situation.
That absolutely is, and you know the laws very well here in Texas, and people talk about the castle doctrine and stuff. But if they're trying to take your stuff at force, because a lot of times they're going to have a gun when they come in to take that stuff, or some type of weapon at least.
Yeah,
So now it doesn't come. Now it's not just about they're trying to take my stuff. They're trying to take my stuff by using a gun. So in that case, you are authorized to use that gun. God forbid you ever needed to.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's a scary time. We're gonna watch it. I'm gonna do this broadcast, and maybe I'll check back in with you and see how things have changed next week or something like that, and we can see if they lock us down or if they prevent us from doing anything. If you have any new advice or if you're seeing any different trends, I just want to stay in touch with our local community leaders and business owners and provide accurate, real time knowledge of the situation and try to help people's imaginations from running away without some boundaries.
No, absolutely. And one thing I will add to that is if they do declare, I don't think they will, at least not in the near future, that the National Guard has been enacted, don't panic. They're not coming up to violate your rights or enforce any. They're coming up to prevent the looting and protect the businesses that have to remain open. And look, if they shut down Saddle River Range and they say you can't open anymore, uh, guess what the first place the criminals are going to try to hit?
Yeah.
So that's where the National Guard will be posted. They'll be posted right outside of here to make sure that doesn't occur.
Thank you for pointing that out. I think that that's again a situation where people's imagination runs amok and they don't know what to expect. So I mean that's really good advice for everybody. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
You
you.
got it, Morgan. Check
Okay,
back
Tom.
anytime.
All right, man. Thanks. Have a good one. Be safe.
Now.
Bye bye. So anyway, that was Thom Bolsch with Saddle River Range, checking in with him, and he's a great guy. He was a Secret Service agent, like he said, for 25 years. Man's been around, and he's just a wonderful person. So anyway, some great advice from him. If the National Guard does get deployed, don't go nuts. They're there to protect you, and also if you feel that you don't have a way to protect yourself, then it might be a great idea to find a way to do that. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead a little ahead of time here. I'm gonna see if I can get Chris Elmi on the line. I told Chris I'd call him in a little bit, but if he's already available, I'd love to reach out to him. Chris is a realtor with Better Homes and Gardens, and we are going to talk about what he's seeing his clients doing. Protect you, and also Chris, how you doing, man?
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, so been a little while since I've seen you. How you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Well, I'm doing
Staying
okay.
busy?
Yeah. I've been staying busy. We're busy, growing Brightline Property Management, and we're extra busy in this insane time we're seeing right now. So anyway, well, Chris, I had asked you ahead of time a couple of questions, and I wanted to reach out to you right now because my theme here is just basically there's a lot of I don't think there's any, I don't know, misinformation is definitely not the right word, but I think there's ability for people to assume the absolute worst already. And I'm curious, as someone who's not, I mean, I'm a real estate broker, but I don't work with families that are buying and selling houses. That's not my business, but you are. And people are talking about lots of things going on. They're talking about the possibility of foreclosures. We're going to see 2009 again, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm wondering what's happening. Like, what are you seeing people that are currently under contract to buy and sell houses? What are you seeing people that have said, hey, a month ago someone hired you and said, Chris, help me buy a house. What are they doing right now?
Well, things are still operating as usual. Actually, last week was probably our busiest week of the year for our team. We have 3 agents, and it was interesting to see kind of the attitude out there. Everyone was a little bit more of, well, let's just keep going and see what happens. So buyers are still buying. I think the sellers that will be listing in the next few weeks, will be a little more serious. But the overall attitude, I think, is people are still buying and selling. Even with all the things that are going on right now, we haven't had any deals fall through because of coronavirus or people getting cold feet.
Yeah.
So for us, it's business as usual. There's been some changes definitely in like closing processes, remote closings. I just had a title company email me about a drive-by closing where
Sounds
basically,
dangerous.
well, a drive-by closing. I'm sorry. Yeah. Just trying to take measures to be cautious and safe with everyone's health in mind. So we're finding ways to do business, and I think that's important to do as much as we can to keep things going.
So a minute ago, you said sellers are being more serious. What do you mean by that?
So the people that were kind of on the fence, that are like, well, maybe we should see, what we can get for our house. I think those people are going to be out of the market as far as listing this season. So we already were going into all this stuff. We were already seeing a drop in inventory versus last year. So I think we're going to continue to see that even through the summer months, when typically is our high season, when we see a lot of listings come on.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think that's going to continue. And then the buyers that are out looking are more serious. So I anticipate activity might go down a little bit, but I think the serious buyers and the serious sellers will still be buying and selling.
That makes sense. So I know that I got the blast, and you mentioned to me that HAR has ceased open houses.
Yeah, that was interesting. So one of the ways that we kind of are working through that, I've already seen a lot of agents doing virtual open houses, and virtual showings too. So if people are not sure if they want to go look at a listing, or maybe they're high risk for coronavirus, their agents actually going out doing FaceTime showings for them.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the virtual open houses are another tool we can use, and post those on social media so it stays there so people can look through the house without actually being there.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to be respectful of the guidance that everyone's giving. I think that I guess anybody that's doing anything could say they could do more. I mean, I guess until the point that you lock yourself in your bedroom by yourself and caulk the door shut, I suppose you're not in entire isolation. But
Right.
I'm it. I'm the only person. I mean, this is a I'm the only person in the studio right now, and basically, everybody's working from home, and I think that we're going to keep doing this, but we got to find a way to keep doing business without endangering people. And if
Right.
your business is buying and selling houses, we've got to figure out how to buy and sell houses like that. And so this is interesting. You were talking about the drive-bys, the closings. What's the deal with electronic signatures and closing documents? I've done some on cash transactions,
Right.
but I wasn't aware that you could do them in a something involving a lender, and then I don't even know what they would do
Right.
with notarizing. So do you have insight on that, or any updates
So
from title companies?
some of the lenders are doing it. It depends on the loan type and depends on the lender. I think we're going to see more of that as we continue to work through this situation. But it'd be something that a buyer would talk to their lender about doing, and I think we're going to start seeing more of that just given current conditions.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, well, I've got my software developer John McMullen was able to pull up some stats for me using our Rentalizer database, because you can go back and do individual searches on the MLS, but it's kind of hard to output like a table. Well, you can't output a table from the MLS. So something I'm interested in is tracking, this day or this week or this month today versus the last couple of years. And I want to see not only the quantity of new listings that are put on the market every day, but also the median price per zip code in our area, because I think it'll be telling to see. If on this day in 2018, if there were 5 new listings in one zip code, but on this day there's 0 or 1, but the median price, one is not easy to create a median price on. We should probably do a week. But anyway, I'm interested to see if this affects not only the quantity of listings, because naturally I think it will affect it, but also the pricing of the listings. And you know what? On that point, have you had any reprice requests from any of your buyers on houses that they're currently under contract for?
No, not yet. TAR put out a new form too that could delay closing I haven't had to use that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the people that we had on the books to close are still wanting to close. So um, it's a possibility that that might change, but as of yet, I haven't had that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that work for businesses that are. I mean, I think it's at some point everyone's going to be impacted, but there
Right.
are a lot of people who have simply just taken their laptop or whatever home and they're working from home. They're not hourly workers. They are still earning the same wage that they were earning 2 weeks ago right now.
Right.
So hopefully those people are still buyers, or the people that are selling are not panic selling. And I think the data will speak for itself. That's something I'm interested in seeing, because I think that we can track that and we can actually show people what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see how the next 2 weeks play out. I think we're probably going to see less activity, but still things going on.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, I haven't been watching the other broadcasts, but I know that Harris County's talking about shutting everything down or a shelter in place. So, provided they did or will enact that, obviously that's going to affect the people's ability to get out there. But if you were getting transferred, you're probably still getting transferred, and if you need another
Right,
house, you probably still need another house.
right.
So we got to figure out how to keep this going. Well, Chris, I'd love to check back in with you maybe next week and see how
Yeah,
things are different. And at that point, I'll put together a chart or a table, and we could start tracking this and explaining to the viewers out there what's really happening with actual data, rather than letting them just assume that all of a sudden their house is worth half as much money and no one's going to want to buy it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to
yeah,
that.
hopefully. So okay, well, do you have any final thing you want to add here?
I think just kind of stay positive, don't panic, and I think we just need some time to get through all this, and it's not all doom and gloom. I think that's the last words I'd like to leave with consumers.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. No, I think that's really good advice. It's not all doom and gloom, and I agree. So, all right, well, Chris, you stay safe. Wash your hands, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Morgan.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
So there you heard it from Chris Elmi. He's a local realtor. Those guys stay busy, and I think that that's some valuable advice from him, or commentary about what he's seeing in the market. As a property management company, I fully expect to see, just like what happened in 2008, 2009, that there are going to be buying opportunities, but I don't think that every home is going to become a buying opportunity. And on the same note, if you look back, a lot of houses became rental houses back then. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to change customer tendencies, or take people who are currently tenants in houses and cause them to remain tenants in houses rather than purchasing. However, on that subject, I could argue either side of that fence for 72 hours straight on whether or not you should be a home buyer or a homeowner. I've said before that I think that everyone should be a homeowner, but maybe not the house they live in. Meaning that it would be wonderful to take advantage of appreciation and amortization and deductions and things that you get to take by owning a house. But if you do work for a company and you're susceptible to being relocated, or other unfortunate events that you can't control happening to you, you might be better off to leave that asset as a rental home and allow people to come and go out of it, and then still allow yourself to come and go. So anyway, that's just kind of a thought there, and something I will be doing. Soon is I'm going to. I apologize. I'm trying to get my next guest on the phone here, but something I'm going to start doing soon is just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to be getting rentalizers spun up on the air here and talking to people about what to do with their current home with their in place mortgage, so you can see what that would look like as a rental home. Or also, if you do see buying opportunities out there, I'd love to teach you how to use rentalizer to identify those and search for them. In times like this, sometimes people defer selling their house if they're being transferred, but they might be in a position to where they can be transferred and not need to sell that house to make that transition work, or whatever going on. Maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a relocation from your job, but I want to be able to show you the economics of what it looks like to rent your house out with your existing mortgage, and see if that's something that's attractive to you. So I am calling Jessica Taylor right now with Guaranteed Rate Mortgage, and we're going to get her here to talk about what she's seeing out there. Here we go. Jessica, hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, were you able to see the live feed until I called you?
No.
Is it stopped? No, it's still going. Had you been watching by chance?
I tried to get on there and see if I could see anything, but there wasn't anything there.
Huh.
But
Well,
it could be me.
well, I don't know. I mean, it says that it's live and the counter's still going, but my wife Casey texted me and said that it's paused. So if somebody is watching it, I'd love for you just to comment and say, hey, it's still on. Anyway, I mean, I know it records, and so we'll be able to rebroadcast this. But anyway, well, so Jessica, you are a mortgage broker.
No, just a lender.
Lender.
So mortgage
Lender. I forget the
but
specific terms there. So you're a lender, and I wanted to ask you, as someone who's in the business, what's going on with a few things. First, ahead of the real spiraling of Corona, we had Fed drop their rate, and then also I have a couple of other questions about consumer behavior. But can you talk about that rate that was dropped and how it does or does not affect mortgage rates?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we saw was they had an emergency meeting that Sunday night. What was that? March 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And basically said that they were dropping the Fed funds rate to 0 to 0.25%. And so, of course, our phones are blowing up as mortgage lenders. People saying, "Is this accurate? Are rates really truly dropping to 0, or are we a further drop?" That kind of thing. That Fed funds rate is basically the rate that the banks can borrow funds from one another. So they did that to do two things: basically lessen a chance of any freezing of loaning that money, but then also increase the liquidity for the banks.
Yeah.
So it does affect mortgage rates, but not to the extent that people think that it might.
Yeah, and I know that y'all's team put out a letter that stated that they're just not directly related. I mean, there's some follow-on action that happens with the rates in those markets, but simply because a half interest point or 50 basis point drop occurs doesn't immediately mean that mortgage you were applying for, if you haven't locked your rate, is going to shoot down by 0.5%. So what are you seeing then? I was just talking to Chris Elmi, and I was asking him what's going on with his buyers and sellers, and I'm curious about any applications that you're working on right now with people. Is anything changing?
So, I know one question that you had asked is, are people backing out? They backing out? We haven't seen, I haven't had any buyers back out due to this, situation. I have had a couple fellow VPs at Guaranteed Rate say that they've had clients lose their jobs. And so as a result, they've had to terminate their contracts.
Okay.
Because of the loss of their job.
Here in our market, we also have the concurrent disaster of oil prices to battle.
Yeah.
And so, you might not easily be able to determine whether the fallout you're seeing is from oil or from corona.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely, our clients are being hit, from either direction as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But as far as people backing out, we haven't seen, any issues with that. If anything, I feel like it stirred some people that were on the fence to kind of move forward as far as purchasing.
Okay.
The other thing that we're seeing is we're kind of having to change and adapt, how we do business. At Guaranteed Rate, we've always had our flash close program, which basically allows a majority of the documents for closing to be signed electronically, to where at closing, they're only signing those notarized documents.
Yeah.
We've actually implemented immediately what we call Flash Close Plus. So now for refinance customers, they can completely sign documents electronically.
Good.
Purchases, we're still having to sign that, handful of documents at the title company. But for refinance customers, because there are so many clients wanting to refinance right now, they've implemented that immediately. So hopefully people will see that from other mortgage companies as well.
With DocuSign, I mean, it's baffled me for a while that people haven't been more accepting of DocuSign until now. It's going to be forced on them. I mean, if you use your telephone, if I use my phone to DocuSign something, which I do on a very regular basis, it knows my GPS coordinates where I signed it. It knows the name of the device. It knows the IP address of the device. And if you really wanted to, you could ask me to take a picture, I'm sure. And that doesn't come across. But, I mean, obviously, there's definitely no one listening who has a notary in their office that they've ever walked into the office and been like, hey, I just signed this. Will you notarize it? But to me, I feel like this is more secure than someone than notarizing things.
Yeah.
So I hope courthouses become accepting of it in this time. I mean, they might be forced to, but I don't know if there's already a good, generally accepted e-notarization system, but I would think that might be an industry that really becomes standardized in the midst of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to have to become more and more, common.
Yeah.
For people to utilize. The other thing, which applies, to you and me and a lot of people, is they're trying to figure out right now appraisals. We, even before this came, coronavirus came about, we were doing a lot of refinances and we were getting what's called a property inspection waiver. So when we run, someone's loan through our automated underwriting systems, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they could potentially give us a property inspection waiver that basically says on this particular purchase or refinance, you don't have to get an appraisal.
Yeah.
And sign something saying they understand they're waiving that, but that basically the system has said that there's enough value out there, in the area of where this house is to support what you're purchasing it for or what you're refinancing it for. And so, one isn't needed. So we had a lot of clients and have a lot of clients that are taking advantage of that currently.
Okay.
But our company is actually talking to some of our top appraisers and stuff too, to figure out how to basically walk through a house digitally, with sellers in order to support, appraisals without appraisers going out to the property.
That makes sense. I mean, and where my mind is wandering to is we almost have an opportunity to look back at the situation that unfolded in, leading up in 2008 and 2009, where people bought houses and they were appraised for more than they should have been appraised for. And then when they ultimately did get foreclosed upon, the debt was considerably higher than the property value. So, when we have this thing building right now where you could be faced with a lot of defaults and foreclosures, and lenders are going to be getting property back that they need to resell, we don't want to add insult to injury and not learn from the past and have loans that were given that are higher than they should have been.
Yeah.
So we can't bypass the appraisal process altogether, but they do need to find a way to work with it.
Right.
So
absolutely.
So tell me this: what are you hearing in your company, or murmurs from anything about relief for consumers? I mean, there's not a national act that I'm aware of right now. I'm sure that something will happen. I know that there are foreclosures and evictions that have been suspended in some places through March, through April. I mean, in Seattle, I think they did it for 6 months or something like that. But what are you hearing from your company about what they're going to be offering to consumers on an individual basis who call and need relief?
So I don't know that any decisions have been made, and I think that's what, like Friday, they put out, the government basically through Fannie Freddie was saying, like, urging lenders to defer payments for people that are affected, that kind of thing. So similar to what we saw during Harvey, I'm sure, those kind of things will come into effect. I think right now everybody's kind of in damage control, mode, and they're trying to figure out what is the effect on this, but as far as, long term, I think they will, do things like that in order to help relieve payments and, defer payments or help people get back on track as far as it is. I know, in talking about rates, that's one of the things that, we talk about is the devaluation of the mortgage-backed securities, right? So investors are hesitant to buy mortgage-backed securities because they're a little concerned about whether foreclosures are going to amp up as this process, goes further. So, you've got the federal government, last week they said they were going to buy, $200 to $500 billion in mortgage-backed securities in order to help relieve some of that pressure. Well, already this morning, basically they've said they're going to buy an unlimited number in order to, so they're basically saying we're going to do whatever it takes in order to, keep rates low and help our investors feel comfortable with doing this.
That's amazing. I was listening to this. I listened to my Spotify has this thing called Your Daily Drive, and it's a combination of like news and music. And they have a thing from the Wall Street Journal, which I think is called the Money Minute. And they were talking about that, lenders would probably be offering forbearance agreements, but the issue there, though, is that can affect your credit for a number of years if you do have the forbearance agreement.
Right.
So I think that. I understand that after 2008, 2009, they actually recalculated how they weighted people's delinquent events during that time on their credit scores. I think they changed the formula and the model for evaluating credit during that tumultuous time. And I would think that the Experian, Equifax, they'll probably consider doing the same thing when this is all over. But I hope that people aren't too quick to jump to try to have some sort of an economic holiday and just think, I work for XYZ. I mean, I'm a nurse. I'm maybe making overtime. I'm making more money than normal, but I'm still going to not pay my mortgage for 3 months and make a forbearance agreement because it's offered to me.
Well, and hey, I think that's the key, right? Like, you have people heading to the grocery stores and buying too much, because of that fear. It's the same concept. If you are somebody that is still, getting paid and able to operate in this environment, continue making your bills like normal and don't take advantage of some of these programs that are going to come out there to give access to the people that truly do need it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the key is, they are going to put these programs out there, but if you don't need it, continue operating as normal.
Yeah. We've already had multiple tenants contact us, whether they're commercial tenants that are in a shopping center or, just a person that rents a house, which is our normal bread and butter, asking us what we're going to do. And we don't know yet. We're kind of waiting, A, until April 1st rolls around, and B, to try to see what government programs, guidance, assistance is officially and formally extended to people. We're not going to go. We're not interested in evicting everybody. We hope that the majority of our tenants are in unaffected industries, and I think that they will be. But at the same time, we're going to have to find a way, just like you as a lender. Well, I know you don't collect the payments, but guaranteed rate or whoever they sell the loans to is going to have to figure out how to work with their consumers to make the best out of this. And I think we're going to have to do the same thing with our tenants and find a way to not let someone take advantage, but also extend some sort of a payment plan to people in a fair and uniform way.
Sure.
Yeah. So, well, Jessica, do you have any final thoughts? I appreciate you joining us here.
The only thing that we've been reaching out to, realtors, buyers, everybody, and of course, with the drops in rates and everything, our capacity has just gone crazy. And so, there are a lot of mortgage companies out there looking for people. We are as well. And, just asking for cooperation from our buyers and our, realtor referral partners that, hey, we're at capacity. And so, just especially our buyers, we're normally, we could ask for something and get it back in 5 days and be completely okay. Now the market is just moving so fast.
Yeah.
And so, we're really having to stay on top of, documentation and appraisers and all that kind of stuff to get stuff moving forward. So it's requiring a lot of teamwork, and we're just continuing down that path, but also, looking for good people to help.
Well, Jessica, please keep our industry moving. Keep doing that extra work because we don't need it to fall down.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, Morgan, and looking forward to, getting the stuff moving. It's going to be another crazy week, I feel like.
I'm sure it will. Well, get to work, Jessica. Thank you for taking time to talk to us, and we'll check in with you later.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. So there you have it from Jessica Taylor. She's a mortgage lender, residential mortgage lender, telling us that her world hasn't come to a screeching halt yet, which I'm glad to hear. So, I'm going to try to keep this somewhat relevant to real estate, but also just involve the community because our real estate involves the community. So, like I said earlier in the broadcast, if there's anything I can do to share information about restaurants or businesses that are open, I'm definitely going to do that. And something else that I would love to offer, if there's some way that I can possibly help, is if you're working at home and you don't know how to utilize some of these tools, or you want to know how to do something at home, I'd love to try to offer, some tips on what to use. When I sent everybody home in our corporate office here on Monday, it was a little of a logistical issue to send everybody home, but we're all working from home just like we would be in the office. We use VoIP phones, and everything that we use is hosted on Microsoft OneDrive. So it was kind of no sweat for us, but I think that for a lot of people, that especially when you don't have a company IT department, it might be stressful or challenging. So if there's a question that I could answer or anything I could help you with, to the extent that I'm capable, I'd love to just drop that information. So, and one more time here, though, I do want to switch over to the local living guide, and I want to show you guys what that looks like. If you go to locallivingguide.com, this is for people in Montgomery County. We have this website put together by Matt Kalusic and Russell Kalusic, and they're working on updating it. I understand they're updating their app to have a special section, but here it is a special section they've created that's the pandemic relief for restaurants and pandemic relief for businesses. So if you're interested to still be respectful of social distancing rules and things like that, but to go to these restaurants and pick food up, this is information about the ones that are still available and the specials that they have. I've heard various things, like if you get a family pack, I think from Grub Burger, they're giving a package of toilet paper with it. I understand that Del Frisco's Grill is also selling certain groceries. So there's a lot of businesses that are stepping up and trying to find ways that they can help the community. And as a community, I think we need to keep supporting them. So I'm going to wrap it up on that. I really appreciate everybody tuning in here and listening to me talk to people. And if you have anything that you'd love to hear me talk about in the future, I'm going to do my best to do this twice a week, just really more about business in the community. And then I'm also going to pick up some regular rentalizer how-tos and discuss property management and how our company can help you, especially in a time like this. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, everyone, and hope you guys stay safe.